Hello and welcome to Take a Wander with Shebs. My guest at this point is adventurer Dominic Renshaw. Dominic, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time. I know you are very busy at the moment. How are you and where are you currently at the moment?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Presently, I'm out in Herefordshire, so very quiet part of the world. Very nice area of the world, but yeah, I was in Herefordshire, so it's a lovely, lovely area.
We're going to be coming on to your adventures shortly, but before I do so, for the audience who don't know who you are, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm an adventurer and explorer. Basically, I've been that for quite a long time now. I bought a company back in 2004, so it's literally 20 years ago now, and that was an adventure company. So that got me into adventuring, outdoor, traveling in a very big way. So I worked at that for close on 14, 15 years. At the end of that, obviously gets a bit more where you're working on an adventure or a travel than you are actually going on it. And that sort of drove me into my own sort of expeditions, etc. And the first one I really did, I suppose, the first sort of one I really went, okay, that's really good fun, was the Inca Trail. Oddly enough, coming literally from the back of the Inca Trail, within 2 months, I'd gone up Kilimanjaro. So the whole thing moved from A to B to C to D very, very rapidly. And that's where my sort of background came. And since then, I've done lots of other expeditions, got into mountaineering in a big way. And that's pretty much what my background is. So it all really started back in 2004, I suppose. You could go even further back than that. For example, I lived in the Pennines for a long, long time. So I was outdoors anyway. I was very lucky because where we lived, my uncle owned the farm all in front. So all the land around it was owned by my uncle, which meant I was very lucky and we could use all the outdoors. For example, when you're young, you learn about the mountains and explorers. You learn that when you're at primary school. We were very lucky because our primary school only had 26 pupils in the entire school from 3 till 11. It's a tiny little place. In my year alone, I only had 3 in my entire year. So it was a very small school.
Is it because the area that you're living in was a tiny place, or was it a private school?
It's a little tiny village. We lived literally up in the Pennines, and around we had one house next door to us, and then the next house was probably half a mile away. It was really rural, and the school, we had to walk to school, and the school was over 6 miles away, so we had to walk to school in the morning, walk back. It was fine because it's in the middle of nowhere, and the school was tiny. It literally was. It's just a little tiny area. All the little tiny villages seeped into it. And it's a little tiny school. It's still going to this day.
Interesting. You said that you had to walk to school every day for 6 miles and then walk back. So I can see where your adventuring started from. If you have to walk to school for 6 miles every single day, that's a bit of a trek already.
It was a heck of a trek. My mum and dad did take us every now and again, but we walked it most of the time. And to be honest with you, the great thing is in the countryside is you know everybody as well. So when we're walking back up the hill, because we lived right on top of a huge hill. It was a massive hill, so the school was low down. So every time it snowed, we got snowed in anyway. It was just what happened. So, for example, now it was high enough; it's well above the snow line, so we used to get snowed in all the time. But my parents did take us to school every now and again. But on the way back, a lot of neighbours who were driving up because we knew everybody. They just said, "Do you want a lift?" Halfway up the road, and you just jumped in the back of the van and off you went, or on a tractor because most of it was farming anyway.
Tell us what you're up to right now, because you've been in the news.
What I'm up to at the moment is in quite serious training at this moment in time, but not just physical training. I'm also in the mental training side of it as well, plus all the rest of it, which goes on the PR side and everything else off the back of it. But basically, I'm in training to become the world first for dragging a tyre from John O'Groats to Land's End. I'm calling it long tread, a bit of a pun on the old tyre there. But in so doing, that's around 850 miles. And it's going to take me anywhere from 40 to 44 days. It's in that ballpark. It's all planned out, but naturally things can happen. Just rewinding slightly, what am I doing at the moment? For example, this week, on Monday, I got up and did a 6 hour with 6 miles with the tyre. And then came off the back of that and did all the PR work through Twitter, YouTube, sent off lots of enquiries to possible companies for sponsorship, sent lots of enquiries off for kit because I need lots of kit as well. Did all that as well, got it all organised. Tuesday morning I woke up and did a 22.5 mile trek with a tyre. Now that took pretty much the whole day because it goes sunrise here at 10 past 8 and at 4:30 it goes dark. And I finished at 10 to 4, so I only had 40 minutes left within that timescale. So this is my sort of life at the moment. That's what I tend to be doing at the moment because I've got to get to a serious fitness level because for 44 days, the average I'll be moving is 22 miles a day. That's my average. So some days a lot more. My lowest day, I think, is 17 miles. And oddly enough, that's the first day, which is going to be quite nice.
I mean, it's an obvious question, but there's a lot of people who will trek mountains and will just walk it. But why did you want to carry tyres? Well, what possessed you to wanting to carry tyres along the way?
Well, the reason's quite obvious, actually, and we'll probably come into it a little bit later, but my bigger goal is for 2024, and that is to ski solo in world record time to the South Pole. That's my big goal in 2024. Now, I've gone backwards and broken that down in things I can do. Now, when you're going to the South Pole, you're on skis and you're dragging a sledge. Now, the only way you can simulate that in Britain, because there is no snow, is to have something behind you. And the simple one, well, I say it's simple, it's not simple, but what you actually do is drag a tyre. And that simulates the sledge. It simulates the same hard, how it pulls on your back or your muscles. So I've gone, okay, guys, I've got the sledge. I've got the idea of pulling the tyre. The trouble is, if I do the general weekly pulling the tyre around where I am now, I would never get enough training in to see what level of fitness I really need to be. So this year I thought, hold on a second, let's do something extraordinary. Let's put myself through the same amount of physical and mental problems I'm going to have at the South Pole. What can I do? And over a drink or two, about 6 or 9 months ago, I went, hold on a second, it'd be a great idea to pull it from John O'Groats to Land's End. Then I woke up and went, actually, that's not such a silly idea. That is a really good idea. And that's literally where it came from. But I'm going to be very interested when I've done this, John O'Groats to Land's End, how fit I really am and how my body's taken it, because I'm considering then doing that prior to the South Pole or something similar, maybe across Europe, to make sure I'm fully up to speed again, ready for the pole, if that makes sense. Because I'll know this time when I'm a year and a half out from the pole, so my fitness will naturally dip a little between the end of John O'Groats to Land's End to when I actually get to the pole. So I will see what's happening, see my body, see how it's all taken it. And if it's worked well and I am at really good peak fitness, I will probably then do something again in May, June of 2024, before I then go off to Greenland to do the ice training to then go straight to the pole. So my fitness is at peak. But let's see what happens in June this year when I get back, when I finish, because I'll be finishing the end of May. So in June, I'll see how my body feels.
A lot of trekkers will be listening thinking, it's tough just walking and trekking along. But to do it with tyres, I mean, that's a whole different ballgame. I trekked, you mentioned the Inca Trail, I've done the Inca Trail myself, and I remember that was one of them. It is absolutely amazing, but it was one of the most physical battle that I've had in my life, and I remember it to this day. It was a struggle, but there was no tyres or anything. But for what I want to know is there a specific reason why you're also doing it? Are you looking to raise awareness for anything, or are you just doing it for your own personal gain and break the world record?
No, it's not for personal gain, this one, because I'm just going to rewind a slightly bit more, because I've climbed Everest as well. I did that back in 2018. But what I found is that I thought, this was back when Everest, I thought, hold on a second, if I'm going to do something, why don't I do it for somebody else as well? And back then I raised for Thames Valley Air Ambulance. I raised loads of money for them. For this one, I'm actually raising money for BlackDog Outdoors. Now, they're a charity, a national charity. Not many people have heard them because they're quite small, but they help with mental illness. And their philosophy is very simple. If they can get people to enjoy outdoor events, it will help with less stress, help them out generally, and everything else. And so that fits in well with what I do, because I'm a natural outdoor person. Now, I'm looking, if I can, to raise anywhere between 50 to 100,000 pounds for these guys with doing the long tread of John O'Groats to Land's End. And on the back of that, then we'll take it to the pole as well and see how far we can really push this. But my initial goal for them is between 50 to 100,000 pounds. And I can see with 44 days, I can definitely get this done. That will make my day. Simple as that.
Why does a charity mean so much to you?
When I came off Everest, bit of background, but I had a bit of a problem on the summit night of Everest, and I nearly wasn't here to this day. My oxygen failed on the ridge of Everest, right up on the top, way about 8,500 meters. My oxygen failed. What I did realize in that instant was there is a lot to life. I'm living life pretty well. I'm doing the things I want to do. But when I came back from Everest, one thing I realized is I really enjoyed the expedition. I really enjoyed the training. Don't get me wrong, it was awesome. It's what I like doing. What really gave me was that I raised money for other people, and other people got a benefit from it. And that from that moment on, I realized no matter what I do now, I will raise money for a charity.
That's very admirable. And I just want to take it back slightly before I come back onto your current project. So you talked about the Everest stuff, and you did all that, I'm assuming, without tyres at that time. To climb Everest, as we all know, it's not many people come back, and you just said that potentially it could have been a bit of a dangerous situation. When it comes to potentially something going wrong physically, does that ever worry you, or you just go into it with a positive mindset?
You have to have a positive mindset on these. There's no buts about it. If you didn't have a positive mindset, you'd never get off the word go. But I say to a lot of people, experience is everything. So you've got to train for these things properly. You can't just turn up at a big expedition and hope you're going to make it. You've really got to go through the skills training and everything else. If you go through the right training, have the right attitude, have the right equipment, you're reducing your risk. It's like a lot of things. So, for example, on Everest, I'd done a vast amount of training. I've been on courses left, right, and centre. I'd done several mountains on the way. So I went there knowing I could do it. It was just, if something like, for example, the oxygen failing, there's nothing I could do about that. That's just one of those things. Nothing I could do about it. It was unfortunate. But because of my skills, I could get down safely from there. It's getting the right things in place to make sure you reduce your risks, and also making the right decision. So, for example, if you're on an expedition and something goes wrong, you've got to have it in yourself to be able to turn around. A mountain will always be there. And I always say to people, I was down at a local school because lots and lots of children learn about exploring expeditions. So I do a lot of school visits and inspire the children as well. But I was chatting to them about it and saying, whenever you're on an expedition, it's the journey from literally from 6 months ago for me when I started. The journey is from then until I actually reach the goal, for example, of the South Pole. That's my journey. And if you think about it, you need to enjoy that entire journey and not just the last 3 weeks of the actual trip itself.
I also want to know is, would you want to inspire others to do something similar or exactly what you're doing?
I'd love to inspire as many people to carry on their dreams. Their dreams might be going from John O'Groats to Land's End. Their dream might be climbing Mount Everest. Their dream might be writing a book. Dreams are anything. It's not just, because I'm an outdoor person. Yes, I naturally gravitate towards that. But I would like anybody to live their dreams. Seriously, life gets in the way. It was very interesting chatting to the children at the schools I've been to already. Their concept of money and life isn't there yet, but their dreams are. If we all went, hold on a second, the priority is this, we'd see things very differently in life. And I just want to inspire people to do that. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention, but I've got a YouTube channel that I'm basically every week I'm sending a video out every Sunday evening at 8:00, and that is showing the entire journey I'm going through to get to the South Pole. So the first video was saying I'm going to do this, and every video since has shown every week what's happening and how I'm doing it and how things are changing, ups and downs, things that haven't gone right, things that have gone right, and that entire journey will go all the way through to me coming back from the pole. I am doing the John O'Groats to Land's End, the long tread, on my own, without any backup, and I have to camp under canvas. They are my rules. So I haven't got a backup. I'm doing it all on my own. If campsites are shut, campsites will be shut. I will turn up at campsites and I won't be able to get in them. My channel, it's called Resetting Your Compass on YouTube, and it's a live documentary of exactly what I'm doing and showing people that you can live your dreams and you can do it. You put enough effort into it and you're happy. It sounds weird, but happy to go beyond your fears. Many people in this world have fears about things they haven't done, and it holds them back so much. As a great quote is, everything you ever wanted in life is beyond fear. And everything you ever wanted out of life is just beyond that little bit you've never done. And I always say to people, just go one step more beyond that fear. Not many people know this, but I'm scared of heights. And obviously, I climbed Everest. So it's getting over your fears. But not many people know that. I had to do some NLP to get over my fear of heights, to be able to climb mountains.
I'm just going to come onto your YouTube channel, but what I really liked what you said about inspiring someone, not necessarily to trek, not necessarily to carry tires, but inspire them to live their dream. Listen to your story. I'm sure people listening thinking, if you can do something specific like this, why can't I do what I set out to do? So that's really, really inspirational what you just said there, because not many people have worded it that way. People will say, yeah, I'm inspiring people to travel, I'm inspiring people to trek along, but you just said there that you want to inspire kids to live their own dream. You also mentioned YouTube channel, which is a fantastic channel. I've been watching it, and as you said, that you've got weekly stuff from some of the videos that I've watched, you are as hardcore as it gets, and it's a channel. I'm sure there's many other channels out there, but the channel itself, from what I got from it, was the passion that you put into it, and you can see it. Because I always say you can see it in someone's eyes whether they're being genuine or not. Especially because I've been watching a lot of stuff for my own work, and you can always see from someone's eyes that they really mean what they're doing. And I think it's a fabulous channel. And would you like it to get to a stage where we're earning money, but from that, would you also give back to the charities?
If I can basically fund everything I possibly can through doing what I need to do, for example, whether it's YouTube or something else, then all of a sudden I can do a lot more of what I want to be able to do, which is raise a lot more money in the end. Because I guarantee when I come off the back of the South Pole, I'd literally within a day, another idea will spark in my mind. But from that, then we can look at going, okay, well, does that idea, what does that idea fit in with the charity? Because you've got to get the charity fit with what you're doing. Sounds weird, but some charities don't fit necessarily with what you're doing. So you have to sort of go, okay, if I want to do this now, what other charity can I help? And how can I help them? And to be honest with you, it would be great to get a passive income coming through YouTube and then going, okay, a certain percentage of that is always going to go to charity no matter what.
The interest that you've had and the awareness, raising money so far, how far along are you on your target?
We're pretty good at the moment. I've got to be honest. I've got a lot of feelers out there at the moment. I had a meeting day before yesterday, I think it was, or yesterday. I can't recall exactly. They all roll into one now. With one company that's very, very interested, and I've had several other ones that are nipping at the bit. I have a funny feeling that, and this is why I'm doing the long thread, is because I'm increasing my profile out there, showing you because let's be honest, companies will only bring money to you if they get something back. Everybody's profitable, and that's what they do. So I need to show them that investing in myself is worthwhile for them. And that's why the long thread's going to happen, because the amount of press and the amount of support I'm going to get from that, and already getting from that, I'm going to be a lot better positioned by the end of that to go to a company and say, okay, now you've seen what you can get. Are you prepared to stump up?
I'm certain from the trek that you're going to be doing in the next coming weeks, there's going to be attention and people will support you. I have no doubt in my mind. And I just want to bring it on to, because we're running out of time slightly, I just want to bring it on to the South Pole itself. And again, what was your reasons for wanting to do this again? Is this again another passion that came into your head whilst you were carrying the tyres, or
came into my head when I was at Everest Base Camp, when I just come down off Everest? We were chatting around the room about it, and somebody mentioned something about the South Pole, and instantly I went, "It's a good idea." Literally, I hadn't even got off the mountain fully at this stage. I knew it happened. And then when I got home, it took me a couple of weeks. My body was wrecked, so it took me a few weeks to get back to normal. And then I started Googling, what's all this about the South Pole? And then I found a guy over in Wales that had tried a couple of times to get the UK record, as in the world record. He's actually got the UK record now, but he hasn't got the world record yet. He's tried a few times. And I thought, hold on a second, let me do a bit more research. And literally within 3 weeks coming off Everest, that was it. It was embedded in my mind, and that's where I was going. And that was as simple as that.
That's another thing. That's really, really interesting what you were saying with, because I've traveled around the world. You come off a trip and you think, I could say another dream of mine is to go here. So it can come at you in an instant.
And it's about following those. I meet so many people that have a chat, and for years and years they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then a year down the line, they're still saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, just take a little bit of action. Even if it's only a tiny bit of action towards that dream, it's better than just thinking about it. It might be one thing, it might be one call, one email, one exercise session, it might be anything. But just do that one thing one day, and you're closer to your dream than you were by just thinking about it.
But that comes back to what you were saying before. People have a certain fear, a fear of failure or fear of wanting to do stuff. And that's where it is. And you were saying you were scared of heights. And it's very difficult. People, again, listening will think it's easier said than done. You just have to have the willpower almost, and encouragement from friends and family. And I'm going to come on to your family and friends actually as well. So your family and friends, when you tell them the projects that you're looking to do, is there obvious concern straight away, and how supportive are they?
I am married. My wife is here. She's really supportive, to be honest. My wife. I'm not going to lie. She was a little bit concerned when I went to Everest, because she knew people don't come back, and that's fair enough. It's a difference in being like myself. I've done all the training. I know my limits. I know what I can do and how I can get to the top. Whereas somebody, even my family, closest family, don't necessarily see all that. They know I've done it, but because they've never actually done it themselves, they don't know what level of skills I've got. The rest of my family, my mum, my dad, my brothers, they're all very supportive, to be honest with you. They're absolutely great with it. As for my friends, they just got used to that I do wacky things. They just, ever since they've known me, they just go, okay, it's Dom, that's what he does. But the great thing is, and I love it, the amount of people that says, I'm chatting away over a beer or something, I'm just saying, oh, I'm going to do such and such. They turn around and go, you're going to do that, aren't you? Because they know I'm going to do it. It's not just a case I'm throwing something out there. You say, oh, I'm going to go do that. And they go, we know you're going to do that, Dom, because you just said it. And I'm one of those guys, if I say I'm going to do something, I go and do it. The amazing thing is, I'm dragging this tyre around at the moment, like the other day, 22 and a half miles in a day. And the amount of people that were tooting their horns at me, flashing their lights, waving, unbelievable. And the other day, it was really lovely. I was walking up the road, and I hadn't got the charity nailed down at that stage. I'd still got another. It was going to sign the contract and get it sorted. And this lady pulled up beside me. I was pulling the tyre. She wound down the window, said hello, and she stopped a little bit further up the road. I thought it's a bit strange. Wandered up. She got out of the car and said, "Are you raising money for charity?" And I went, "Well, I will be, but not yet. I haven't got it sorted yet. Are you local?" She said, "Yeah, I'm local." And she went, "Well, there's £4. Please put it towards the charity." I had no idea who she was. Not a clue. She's just a stranger who stopped. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing.
And that support is what sometimes what inspires you to keep going, because sometimes this is something that I've gotten myself when someone closest to you, when they don't know what you're doing and not necessarily support exactly what you're doing, but you want to prove them wrong. Sometimes in your mind, you think to yourself, am I doing something here that I shouldn't be doing? And you have those doubts because people in your life have doubted you. But when you have full 100% support commitment from someone, then you know you're doing it for not just for yourself, for your family and your friends.
That is very true, actually. I suppose that brings you back right to the early days of life. I've always surrounded myself with positive people. Always. I do surround myself with sensible people as well who question what I'm doing sometimes. And I like questioning. You need somebody to question what you're doing. That's the same in business as well. There's no point in having a board of directors who all nod at you. No point at all. I like people who question me. But even on social media, if I find somebody on social media that is ridiculously negative about something I'm doing, strange enough, I will stop following them. They're gone. Sounds weird, but never surround you about people who say you can't do things. I surround myself with people who say you can do things and will help me trying to do that. I'm not saying they won't question what I'm doing, which I really like it. But if somebody's very negative and saying can't do, sadly to myself, that's, well, I can do it and I'm going to do it. That's my decision. And I surround myself with people who are very positive people and have a very positive outlook on life. I'll help anybody, absolutely anybody whatsoever, if they're wanting to do it.
And social media is very, really important because you've raised that awareness. You just mentioned something there about negative comments. Does it affect you? Because the way I look at things is sometimes when I get negative comments all the time, but if it's from someone that I don't know, they're allowed to make negative comments. Of course they are, because that's their opinion or something, but I just brush it aside.
I try to make a bit more of a joke out of the comment normally. So if somebody's made a bad comment, I tend to try and make a bit of a steer of a joke of it, just to sort of bounce it off a little bit. Because I think, well, you never know what they're going through at that time they made the comment. Most people don't, even a bad comment. It's really weird. If you see somebody face to face, you get it. Even when they say something, you get a different feel than when you see it in text.
Yes.
So when you see something in text, you may read something in text, and I may read it differently. The same piece of text, and purely it's the mindset. So I take it with quite a lot of any comments I get with a pinch of salt in that respect, and try and just make a bit of a joke out of it. And that's as simple as it is, because you never know what a person's going through at the time when they made the comment. And I think, well, they might not have meant what I think they mean, and vice versa. So,
Dominic, I'm going to come to the end of this chat now. It's been fabulous getting to know what you're up to, and I want to wish you the best of luck with your excursions and next year breaking the world record in the South Pole. Before I let you go, tell everyone where they can find you and how they can support you going forward.
2 big places you can find me. The first one is on the charity page. I'm raising money. That's number 1. And if you search for The Long Tread on the GoFundMe site, you will find me there. And that's myself. So that's the GoFundMe site, The Long Tread. And the second one is my YouTube channel, which is where I'm putting all the information out, and I'd love people to get involved. It's called Resetting Your Compass. So that's really odd why it's called Resetting Your Compass, but compasses don't really work at the South Pole. That's why it's called Resetting Your Compass. But they're the 2 places you can find me. Hop along, say hello. You never know where it's going to lead.
Dominic, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for coming on. And once you finish your trek, you can come back on. We can talk more about it.
Cheers, Shebs. Absolutely awesome. Thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button to never miss an episode, and watch all my previous episodes from the show. You can also follow me on all my social media platforms. That's it for Take a Wonder with Shebs. Hope to see you all soon. Until next time, bye for now.